Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 423, recorded on April 20th, 2023. On tonight's episode, with special guest Sam from Retro Logic, we talk about the Indie Showcase recap, Sega Mom news, and the third strongest mole talks about his trip to Super Mario World. Jesse, cue the music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Nintendo Dads. It's episode 423 on 420. Joining me on the show tonight is the usual cast of characters. Hey, it's like the second time in 2023 that all four dads have been on the show. Justin Masson, man, good to see you over there in the Great White North. How you doing, buddy?
Man, let me tell you, life is just keeping me way too busy to be able to be here all the time. But I'm excited to carve out some space, be here. I think, as I mentioned before, I think out of the 2023 contractual obligations, I only have to be on 5 shows with you for the entire year. So this is 2 of them.
Me or everybody?
Just you. After the HR incident in the break room, we had to sort that out. So I think we got 3 more for the rest of the year. Then we should be good.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Give me some time off too. Speaking of time off, last week, Mr. Jesse Waldack took some time off and headed to the mountains of Tennessee. He's back with us this week. Jesse, how you doing, buddy?
I am still not healed from the vacation, quote unquote vacation. I am still sore and tired. Though so I think Sunday on my return flight is like the worst airport experience I've ever had. So, quick, long story short, the flight was supposed to be about 3:50 p.m. But when I checked in the previous day, it says, "Oh no, it's 6:10 now." I'm like, okay, so we have a little extra time. That's not a big deal. But did you hear about what happened at Nashville Airport on Sunday afternoon?
No.
Okay, if anyone, I figured Marty might have, since it's more local. Apparently there was an odor that was irritating people, and they actually had to get people out of Terminal C, which is the terminal that my flight was leaving from. This all happened before I got there, but that delayed every flight in Terminal C, which delayed, so my airplane was coming from Florida, so that delayed that, so they wouldn't have to circle. But they ended up missing a window, and a storm came in, and they had to sit on the not only were they 2 hours late leaving, they had to sit on the tarmac for 2.5 hours before they even took off. So we didn't even get on a plane until almost 10:30 that night.
Wow,
dude, I'm so sorry.
And then we had problems trying, backup trying to get out of the parking lot. We didn't get home till 2 a.m.
Wow. What was your original home time, like, that you thought you'd be home?
9?
God. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Don't let that taint your view of Tennessee or Nashville. It's a really good place.
Yeah, I had a fun trip. It's just that was an awful airport experience.
Well, I'm really sorry that I came through Terminal 3 and farted a lot. I just couldn't help it. I tried to hold it in. It didn't work. Speaking of holding it in, Tim All.
Lucky Dreamer says,
how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm doing good, Marty. It's been a long week, but I just have to say, that's how you do an opener between Jesse and Justin. That shows 9 years of experience right there. Where last week, it looks like it was my very first time, which it was. But anyways, great job.
You
guys.
were also trying to run the entire show, like to record the entire show. So we'll give you a break. But just know, if you mess up again, it's good.
Yeah, I know.
It's kaput.
How you doing, Marty?
Cahoots means you're working together. Kaput means I'm doing good. This has been a big week in our family. You guys know I've already kind of talked about this week. Last week or so, my son turned 16. He got his first job on on Monday. He is now a cashier at a local grocery store, and had his first shift at work today, getting trained, doing all that. Did a great job. Super proud of him. And then on Tuesday, he followed that up by getting his driver's license, which he followed up on Wednesday by getting all of his insurance taken care of and making his first drive by himself. And then today he took himself to work. And yeah, guys, that is a weird feeling.
Yep. I've had to go through it 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
I'm glad I'm up here in Michigan. No.
I'm very I would say that it's bittersweet. Like I'm so proud of him and so thankful that he's doing well, but like I still remember him being a little tiny boy, in my arms like a little football.
Oh, tiny dancer.
Yeah. And needing me, all the time. Now, like he's going to be making money. He's going to have more expendable income than I'm going to have every month,
Did you just start like cutting him off instantly? You're like, I'm not paying for your Netflix anymore, and I'm not paying for your games.
You laugh about this, but we have been giving him an allowance. And my wife yesterday was like, I hope your allowance is gone.
Yeah, it's done. You're not
double dipping. Okay. Yeah, we're not double dipping. I mean, if he because we homeschool, he's going to have the ability to, kind of set his own schedule because he can come in and do his school later on. So he can pick up a lot of hours at work, which I'm very happy for. And he's got some goals. He wants to save to hopefully save up and get a car. He also would like to save up and get a new graphics card for his computer. And so he's got some things there that he wants to do, and so more power to him.
The way graphic card prices are going, the card might be the first thing he buys.
Right. I mean, we looked at them. We looked at prices, and I was like, "This is stupid." Just play on a console. But anyway,
yeah. What the new 4070 is what now? Like 1,200, and that's the low end.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at like a 3060. So
that's probably more realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 350 right now. 357 was the last price.
Oh, yeah,
and look, speaking of more realistic, let's throw it over to our guest on the show this week. You know him from the Retro Logic podcast, Third Strongest Mole, or Sam, as some people know him. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Super Nintendo World is in fact real, and I was there this Monday, the 17th.
Yeah.
You have the fresh Mario pipe smell? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah. Well, so the I got this hat, this lovely Goomba hat at the gift shop, and of course they asked me if I would be wearing it out, and I'm like, what kind of question is that? Of course I'm wearing it out. Cut off the tag. I'm putting it on immediately.
Yes.
And I haven't taken it off since. Not even a shower. Now there's actual fungus growing in there.
The thing when you said, will you be wearing it out? That was not what I where I went with the question. I was like, the person's like, are you going to wear that out of the park? Like outside? Like you going to go to the grocery store in the Goomba hat?
It looks good though. I assume you no longer have any disposable income, Sam, for going to the Nintendo.
Yeah, pretty much. Right? I'm just numb to the sensation of being ripped off,
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't we all, if we're true Nintendo fans, right? I mean, we who have bought Super Mario Brothers how many times throughout the years and would do it again if they ask us to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that being said, we're glad you're joining us on the show tonight. We've got a schwack load of news this week because Nintendo backed up the dump truck of news to Twitter and social media and decided to just let it go. So how about we dive in?
We're clearing out everything in preparation for Tears of the Kingdom.
Right? Or something else. Who knows? Anyway, people say I'm stupid when I say that. But anyway, let's dive into the news, shall we?
Do it. Press the button, Jesse. Press the button. We're not hearing the music, Jesse. Press the button. Luna!
I did push the button, but the volume was still at minus 20 decibels.
Luna!
There you go. There you go. Each and every week, our news is brought to us by you guys over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you get to join up with the greatest community in the world, and you too can wear a Goomba hat if you go and buy one. So $1 gets you into the Discord. $5 gets you the entire slate of sub channels in our Discord. Yeah.
Just like our new member, chat's worth $7.
That's right. That's right. And we're thankful for all of our members at $1, $5, $10, which is pre and post show audio, or $30, which is Patreon producer level. So head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where you can get signed up. And we want to say a huge thanks to each and every one of our patrons. We love you guys, and we're so appreciative of everything you do for us. So, big headline this week is the Nintendo Indie World Showcase that premiered yesterday with roughly 20 minutes of brand new and renewed announcements about indie titles coming to Nintendo Switch. I thought that we would see them. It would be indie titles coming to Nintendo Switch soon. But we got titles that are coming out in 2024. And so, gentlemen, I'm going to hush because I have my opinions, but I want to know, first and foremost here around the horn, how do we feel about this Indie World Showcase? Because actually, we didn't know this, but it was really just the beginning of news that came out yesterday. Nintendo had lots more to share with us, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But Justin, I see you nodding over there, so I'm going to start with you. How did this land for you?
You know, I've said it before, not everything is for everyone, right? And I am going to tell you that this Direct did not really feel like a for Justin session. There was not really anything here that was like, yes, right, let's go. There was a couple little moments I was like, huh, great, cool. Maybe I'll download that right now. Maybe I won't. And the fact that I didn't download a game instantly after it was released is a good indicator of like how I'm actually feeling about it. To be honest, I was more excited about free content. So like if I'm looking at the list of stuff, I'll tell you what kind of caught my attention and we'll go from there. Just scrolling through the press release here. Yeah. Miko's Night Market. We've seen that a couple times, right? I feel like at this point we should be like, there were several games that we have seen before that when they showed up, I was like, that's got to be an out today. Oh, no, that's not. Oh, that's another 6 months from now. Right. I felt like
that's the game that was first announced like 6 years ago.
Yeah. Like if it shows up again in another indie or world event or something like that, my expectation is always it's an out now. Right. Because they've already had their moment in the sun. So really it should be. So Miko's Night Market, definitely. I was like, okay, that looks cool. But that's September 26th. From there, yeah, scrolling through Oxenfree 2. Again, no, we saw Oxenfree 2 about a year ago. That was actually one of those like one more thing moments. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Oxenfree 2. So when it's being shown here, I was like, yeah, I was like, awesome.
It was first announced in the 2021 Indie Direct.
Perfect. Yeah, I was like, awesome, cool. Then it's going to be an out today. Oh no, that's a July. Oh, okay, cool, great. I mean, it looked really good, and they kind of like stayed on it for a while, so it was like, oh, it's got to be out. No, it's not out today. Going through here, Teslagrad 2. That actually interested me. That wasn't out today, as well as Teslagrad Remastered from Rain Games and Modus Games. Rain Games, I like Teslagrad. I will pick up Teslagrad 2. It was funny. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, the DLC was announced, and I was like, and it's free, and I was like, not really into that one. Now I will tell you, Cult of the Lamb, Relic of the Old Faith, that one had me. That's a free update in April. I really liked Cult of the Lamb. Happy to go back to that game again. And then
yeah, that's next week, so that'll be quick.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna keep scrolling. I thought Crime O'Clock looked interesting. That was that one in June where it was kind of almost like a Where's Waldo meets Time and Space. Mm-hmm. That kind of looked interesting.
That one's got my attention.
Yeah. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I actually thought when they showed that was Hi-Fi Rush being announced, and I was like, yes, and I was like, oh, nope, but I'm still interested. And then yeah, that's it. So for me, I didn't feel like a lot of things like really landed. There are still so many outstanding questions I have for games that that would have been great to have an update here for. We don't have an official release date for WrestleQuest yet. That's supposed to be in May. That would have been great to have a date on that. Outer Wilds was announced 3 years ago. We don't have a date on that yet. Right? There's a lot of these other games that like just kind of tangentially float out there.
In my notes, I have WrestleQuest as May 1st. Let me double check that. Maybe.
Well, I believe it got moved to June for all consoles. I'm checking on that because one of my buddies just said something about it the other day.
So it was like, again, it was, I do know some people were super excited about it. For me, this just felt like it was an direct or indie showcase. I wasn't super pumped, but again, not everything has to be for me. Right. And I'm aware that I'm 100% okay with that. I'm sure there's other people that are like, this is the best thing ever. Awesome. Just not Justin. That's all. Tim, how did this land with you as a guy who was live reacting to it as it came in?
Well, first of all, nothing made me jump out of my seat, like you guys, were saying. But I didn't know what to expect because I don't keep an eye on all things that go to Steam and potentially could come to the Switch. One thing that I was hoping to see myself, a couple of things I should say, is the Steam World Builder game.
Yeah,
I was hoping to see something about that this time around, but I wasn't sure if this would count, if they still count as an indie.
I think so.
Wonderful games, so I didn't know if that would still count there, but there was that was that ODR hockey game or something like that one Chris HL has been pinging us about
with the gentleman in the background for Twitter to get him on the show.
Yeah, we're hopefully he will schedule something and we'll have him a guest on here. Yeah. So, but those two I was hoping to see because I was hoping for him. It was like he couldn't tell us obviously if he's talking to Nintendo, and I was hoping to be surprised, but no, he really is not talking to Nintendo. Maybe he is, I don't know, but so those type of things I was looking forward to. But one thing that stood out for me right away that I was excited about was the Rift of the Necrodancer.
Oh yeah,
that was the one that I was really excited about seeing because it's part of that whole series of games, I guess. Yeah. So, but a different take on it. So
yeah, I wasn't sure how to feel about that one because, like, what I like about Rift of the Necrodancer is that it's this like very different kind of rhythm game. And
yeah, exactly.
Rift seems like a little bit more like a standard rhythm game, and I'm just not sure that that's going to land with me.
That's fair, especially if you're a fan of the other games. But I think I like this one more because
the rails do like move around, and so it's not like just like playing Guitar Hero.
And it looks like it does. There's different music, rhythm games within the rhythm game. Different.
Yeah, the like lane combat is like the main thing, but there's like mini games too that are kind of reminiscent of rhythm heaven. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one definitely had me intrigued.
I think the other challenge is I think Nintendo has sort of, and again, this is not Nintendo's doing, right? Let me just be clear on this. And I'm actually even seeing in our chat right here, right? Mecha Dragon calls it out. The biggest game people are hoping for at this thing is Silksong. Right, we have not heard anything about Silksong directly from Nintendo for a while. We also know that they were showcased in an Xbox event during E3 last year and said like everything we're showing is coming out in the next 12 months, and that was in June. So everyone was kind of like, oh, then this has got to be Silksong showing up, getting an official release date, and just being on like that. Like that would felt like and we have one more thing. Right, it always sounds bad, but this is sort of the way that I judge how confident even Nintendo is sort of in their offering. Is there was no one more thing.
I noticed that.
Right, it was here's our montage. I was like, yeah, okay. Like there's a formula to this. They usually drop off or start off with one that people are like, oh yeah, very cool, excited about. There's a little bit of momentum. Then right near the end, they do a montage. Cool. You'll have a couple out releases out today. We're great. And then there's a one more thing. There was no one more thing. And I'm not saying that there has to be, but what I'm saying is
they did, like you said, go ahead.
I think they knew that they didn't have like anything massive to drop.
Exactly.
But was kind of like, so do we like, this sounds bad. Did they need to even do this?
This could have been a series of tweets.
Yeah, it could have been,
so let me poke the bear with this question then. Is Silksong is Silksong no longer going to launch first on Nintendo Switch?
I don't know if it was ever guaranteed to launch first on Nintendo Switch.
I don't remember what they said, but what I'm saying by that is Xbox got the last reveal, right? Like they got the last footage. So
they got the last footage, but it was announced at a Nintendo Treehouse.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that somewhere in there has some money been exchanged, and it's going to come to Xbox first in June and come everywhere else like October-ish, 1st of 2024. Here's the deal. Bottom line is the game looked finished when they showed it off. It looked polished.
Yeah.
How many directs or how many indie worlds ago was that?
That was E3 2019.
Yeah.
Woo. So like COVID has happened and all that.
Yeah, this was
pre.
It was announced pre-COVID.
Never played Hollow Knight.
I want to answer Justin's comment too about you and Marty, Justin and Marty saying, was this even needed? And I think still, yes, Nintendo should still do an indie direct because it needs to highlight indie games.
I don't disagree with you, Tim. Right? Like, and here's the thing, and like, even from this, I got information that I wanted in games I wanted. Like, I'm happy with that, right? And so it's fine. I guess it's just, I don't know. We are a byproduct of our false expectations, right? Let's just own that to start off with, right? We want everything under the moon. And I do think because they are opportune to provide spotlights to these folks, which are great. I get just a little bit curious about like when you've already highlighted something in another indie direct and you highlight it again and it's not ready. To me, that's just like, that to me is a tweet that you could just put out and be like, hey, FYI, and it could even be directly from the Miko's Night Market Twitter account themselves. So like, hey, we're excited to announce our official date is September 26th. Cool. Awesome. Great.
Particularly since most of these dates are pretty far out. Like I think for a lot of people, it's, I can't see this trailer. That there's Tears of the Kingdom. That's all I see is Tears of the Kingdom. It's right there. It's so close.
Yeah.
I think waiting until that game's been out would probably build a lot more hype for anything.
Yeah, I do think it's funny, Sam, that you even say that, right? Because that's sort of a little bit of, and I don't know about you guys, I'm dealing a little bit, and we'll actually think we talked a little about this even behind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you get to go behind stage, but back behind the stage, the curtain of Nintendo dads. Right. But we've even been having this conversation a bit as well. It's because we're getting game codes coming in and like access to stuff. And we're like, I don't really know if I want to play that right now. I want to finish off what I'm focused on because I know what's literally 3 weeks ahead of me that is going to take up all of my time and energy. I don't want anything else. Right. It's almost like we're like, no, I am hungry. I'm hungry for a meal, but I know that meal over there is going to be so good. I just need to finish these little appetizers and I am going to patiently wait. And I think that's what a lot of gamers are doing right now is like, and I think in a lot of ways, Nintendo is like, and we're going to hear it later in more of today's news, but like they are dumping out all this information, right? They are like clearing the runway for 3 weeks, basically, of like after Advanced Wars tomorrow, you are going to see Nintendo go on to like hardcore Tears of the Kingdom promotion, right? And for the next 3 weeks, and anything that's kind of in their way, like good luck. It's great the new Star Wars game's coming out. I'm not even thinking of that.
Poor Dokapon Kingdom doesn't stand a chance.
Sorry?
Poor Dokapon Kingdom Connect.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand a chance.
Like,
it comes out literally not even a whole week before. I think it's like the Tuesday before.
Yeah, and I mean, rumor is Hatch Tales has chosen not to release this month as well, just because they were afraid that that Tears of the Kingdom was there. So they were like, no, we're delaying another couple of years, guys.
Wasn't that a Tin game that Tin Soldier or something like that? There was another game that
Tin Soldier just got released today.
Yeah, I saw that they were releasing it before Tears of the Kingdom because they wanted to get at least a couple weeks of people's attention.
Yeah.
And then releasing it on the other consoles later.
So this is a great opportunity, I guess, to say like, And maybe that's the thing. Maybe some of these games are like pretty close to ready, and we're like, yeah, we could probably, we're just gonna push. We're just gonna wait. So
I would say like this is the first indie world in a while. Really, and here's how I'm going to date it: is there was an indie world that had a game about driving around a taxi around Paris and smoking and something like, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, and I like that indie direct or that indie world was the first one that they showed where I just went, that doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
This one falls into that same category. Like there's games that I've highlighted in our notes, like I'm pretty excited about, but like when I say I'm pretty excited about them, it's kind of like I'm excited maybe to put them on my wish list and wait till they go on sale.
Yeah.
There's a few that I'm kind of happy about, but I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know even that I was expecting anything. But this just felt like it was kind of, well, what have we got in the hopper, guys, that we can throw together for a presentation?
But that's the thing a little bit about indies, right? Like when Nintendo says we've got a direct, we're all of a sudden like, okay, what IPs haven't come out yet? Donkey Kong, okay. Where's our Mario Kart 9? Right, we begin to like Beautiful Mind-esque kind of figure out what they're doing, right? And then we expect them to play by our playbook. The beautiful thing about indies is that we have no idea, right? That's what those tweets I put out. I was like, what indie are you excited about? And someone was like, I don't know. They're indies. They just come out of nowhere. And you're like, oh shit, that's a good point, right? Like, didn't think of that one. But like when I look at my list that I have for 2024 for games I'm hyped about, like most of these are indies. Gunbrella, Wizard with a Gun, The Plucky Squire, Wild Frost, Endless Dungeon, Sea of Stars, Have a Nice Death, WrestleQuest, Mina the Hollower, right? Like the Haunted Chocolatier. Indies can be the best surprises sometimes, right? You're like, holy cow, I had no idea. Like Shovel Knight is an indie, and you're like, holy cow, like that took the world by like in technicality, Hades is an indie, right? Hades is an indie by all definitions. So there are games that you're just like, what? Are you kidding me?
And that's a beautiful,
and that's the beautiful part about the indies. You just never know. But there are sometimes all of a sudden like it's kind of like peak and valley, right? Like you never really know what you're going to end up getting with indies. And so I don't know.
Yeah. For me, like I was just counting up as we were discussing this, 22 games announced in this indie world, and 11 of them are like half or over, I would estimate, are in fall of this year, or beyond. Animal Well being the one, and Little Kitty Big City being the ones that are probably the farthest out. And so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like I think it falls into some of the criticism that we've had about indie world is that there's been games like Silk Song that have been shown off way before they're going to be ready, and it leaves people very skeptical about and I know that we need to remember that a lot of these studios are 1, 2, 5-man teams, whatever.
I don't trust any of these dates. If it wasn't announced, it didn't drop yesterday, I don't trust any date until it happens.
and let me be clear. This is not a shot at the devs or here's the thing. Each one of these games are created with love, care, passion, and excitement. I am not poo-pooing that. It's kind of like you go to a restaurant, you're like, you know what, I don't like that taste. I know I don't like it. It's not that you don't care about it. You aren't good at your job. I just don't like the taste of it.
Because you know what we don't want to happen? Sports Story.
That's a great example, man.
Well, and that's the point that I'm trying to make is that
I can imagine that these indie studios feel a lot of pressure if they have the opportunity to be featured in an indie direct. Like, okay, guys, we got to stay up all night, make a trailer, get that out, even though they know their game's not close to finished, because it's like, well, this is our chance to actually get the exposure we need.
Yeah.
But they don't have to pick a month. They can even just say spring of 2024. They don't have to narrow it down a release window right away. At least
that was kind of the point I'm making is I feel like that it's not just Nintendo, but it's gaming media and gaming fandom or the culture in general that have kind of forced this. We've always got to be showing something, right? Like we can't just work on it and it be done when we show it off. Because like I was really hoping, like there was a game that I was really hoping we would see again during this. And it's King of the Hat. And King of the Hat has been in development. Like, where is it for Switch? I've even asked them on on Twitter, and they're like, well, we're finishing it up. Well, just
okay.
I guess what it is.
Funny that you mentioned that.
Go ahead.
I searched our old docs, our old notes, to find the first instance of Minico's Night Market. It was a Nindies Direct, August 2018. What else was announced at that time? King of the Hat.
King of the Hat.
What else was announced during that time? Untitled Goose Game. So that tells you how long ago this was. It's almost 5 years.
And the thing is, King of the Hat has been out on Steam for a long time at this point.
Oh,
and so I'm not throwing them under the bus at all. I'm just saying, like, I want to play your game, and it's maybe this is social commentary on us that is we say, well, it's hard to wait when you've seen this game and you saw it in 2018 or you saw it in 2019 and it's been 4 years. What's going on?
I think
meanwhile other developers are like churning stuff out.
I think there's a whole like social commentary and statement about like also how we consume media, right? Like this like, just for clarity here, folks, do any of you do you guys not have games to play? Just raise your hand if you don't have a game to play. Oh, right. Yeah. Like, shut up. We got a backlog, right? Like, but we want the newest thing. We want the latest thing. And there is a disposableness of it, right? Like, we're all excited for Advance Wars. We're going to buy Advance Wars. We're going to play Advance Wars. We're going to talk about Advance Wars for a week. And then we're on the next thing. What's my next hook? What's my next hit? What's my next game? What's my next thing, right? Like,
because 6 Final Fantasy games didn't drop yesterday.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and we just live in this cycle of like hype consumption, not enjoyment, right? And so, what does that say to the artistry? What does it say to the creativity? What does it say to the time and energy put into these things? But yet we're also like, but where is my game? Where is Silk Song? Right? And you're like, well, wait, what? Hold on a second. So I don't know. So I think sometimes we have to like check ourselves a little bit. I'm not saying in general, but I think just the cycle that content creation, media consumption is kind of put into in these things as well. And it's all about expectations and reality. I do not want anyone busting, doing extra hours, overtime crunch to get me Silk Song earlier than do you know what I mean? Like, that's not healthy either. So.
Well, you know, come on over to Retroland and realize that there are actually like 1 million great games that you haven't even played yet.
Listen, Sam, I've got 1 million great games that I haven't already played yet on my Switch, and they don't have to be retro. They're just my.
Maybe Justin, you go over there and you become the retro sampler, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to throw this out here. There's a couple of games that I did think that from this that I really, really want, and maybe this doesn't line up with anybody else's, but maybe I'm just going to pick 3. The first is Animal Well. Looks amazing. It reminded me of those old Vectrex games where you had like the screen that you laid over the white graphics, and it was like it made it colored. I just really thought it was very inventive.
Something interesting about that one too that I pointed out when watching the showcase is the combination of graphics during that. Not only did it look like you were saying kind of Vectrex, but it had some kind of effects going on that were more higher end. It looked like, so it was kind of cool to see.
Sorry,
it was sad.
Was that the guy who is Dubby or Doobie or what?
Donkey.
Donkey, yeah.
Donkey,
I was like, who are these idiots? Like, these guys just like stupid. Like, is this funny?
I was cracking up.
Then someone's like, oh, that's a YouTuber. I was like,
just one of the most well-known gaming YouTubers of all time.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Also, now I'm sure we just lost like half our audience. I was like, you don't like Donkey?
The other one that stuck out for me that I'm really excited to play is Quilts and Cats of Calico, because of the board game Calico. I've never actually played the board game, but love the concept. It looks really interesting, and I'm all for more board games coming to Switch. and any console.
So let me ask you this question, Marty. And so, like, we are definitely not going to stay on track on our agenda today. You're welcome. Thanks for
That's fine.
back. All right.
You had an agenda?
I'm trying. I'm trying to hold it together, Justin.
I know, and I'm definitely not letting you. Board games on video game consoles, like, but you have like, is that? Yeah. Because here's the thing: if someone's like, I want to play a board game, then I'm just going to go grab the board game that I have. So, like, help me understand it, because maybe I haven't found a good board game on console that I'm like, now I get it.
For
like
me,
Wingspan. I have Wingspan. Why would I play Wingspan on my Switch? I don't understand that.
Well, right, but here's the deal: is that a lot of times getting a board game to the table is based on lots of different factors that a video game version is not. Do people feel like sitting at the table? Do we feel like organizing all the components and putting them up? Do I feel like teaching the rules? Which I'm the rule teacher for a lot of for almost all the board games we play. I have to know everything. So
set up and tear down.
Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, like, I don't play these games with people. I play them against AI, but that gives me the ability to play a game that I enjoy. Right. Okay. So almost all games that have had a board game version be released on Switch, I have them. And I keep them in a folder and I'll play them every now and then because it's easy. Now, does it flow very differently than if you're sitting at a table? Absolutely. Pandemic, I think, does not work as a single player, board game to sit down and play. But I can sit down and play a round or two of Wingspan, and it's really relaxing and I enjoy it. So I think that, as somebody I know who does enjoy board games with people like you, it can be jarring, I think, to have that. But I always like to see that space, like those things enter the space for people who want to play them. It's good to have. And the thing too that I always think about it too is it's good exposure for board gaming, because people might play it and go, oh, I really like this. I would like to go buy this game now and play it on tabletop with some friends who don't play video games. So that was my actual introduction to board gaming. Modern board gaming was the app for Ticket to Ride, and Penny Arcade mentioning Ticket to Ride in a comic, and me looking it up and going, that sounds like a fun game to play, buying it on Amazon. And there we go. That was my gateway game. So
I recently bought that game. We haven't played it yet, but we own it now.
I would really love to see Ticket to Ride come to Switch, but that's a whole nother thing. My last game is Brotato. I love the concept.
Yeah, I saw that one. Okay, that's Marty's game.
Yeah, I mentioned that during the video too. I said,
The one game that I was really disappointed that we did not see in this Indie Direct, and I thought for sure we were going to, was Pizza Tower. I still feel like that is such a no-brainer for Switch. If you haven't seen it, it's a Wario Land inspired platformer about a pizza chef who has to conquer a tower filled with, it's almost like Burger Time and Wario Land meet.
Interesting. I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, my son's played it on his PC. He loves it, and he was hoping for a Switch version as well. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about the Direct. It was a solid B for me, like B minus. Anybody else have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I don't think I've had it said much yet. Those are actually more games than normal. Normally, I'm lucky to see 2 games I'm interested in. This one might have had 3 or 4. So, at first, before I get into those games, I'm surprised Justin didn't mention Played Up. That looked like a Justin game.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, it sort of did actually. Yeah, listen, I just want Overcooked 3, right?
Well, and Played Up is a bit more like a management sim than an Overcooked. It kind of combines them.
Yeah, no, I just want pure chaos. I just want Overcooked 3. Just give me that, and I'm happy. No, I don't think any game has been able to reach that degree of couch co-op insanity that I both love and hate somewhere at the exact same time as Overcooked. Right?
Yeah, the 15 minutes I played back in November, I hated. So,
oh my god! When new levels come out in Overcooked here, we're like, all right, we're on like Donkey Kong, like we are good to go.
All right, so yeah, I'm glad Minico's Night Market finally has a release date. I'm looking forward to that one. Scrolling down, Shadows Over Loathing. I actually bought the Steam version when I was on a sale, but haven't had a chance to play it yet because I don't play a lot of games on PC. But now that it's on Switch, I'll probably have more of a chance to do it. I did pick that up. I just haven't had a chance to run it yet, so it's something I'm planning on starting this weekend. Oxenfree 2 is that's actually when it was first mentioned, I wasn't really interested in. Still not fully interested, but it's also a Netflix game. So if you're a Netflix subscriber, you could play it for free on your mobile device.
Yeah, you're gonna.
So that's probably how I'm going to give it a try. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered.
Oxenfree looks so good.
Escape Academy, the complete edition, I would be interested in if I didn't already play it on my PS5. I'm now planning on double dipping that. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I'm not interested in it, but I know a lot of people are into the FNAF games, so that's there. That
If my son hadn't already played it on PS5, that would have been his big thing for this one.
Yeah, and Little Kitty Big City kind of reminded me it's like Stray cross Goose Game.
Goose Game. Yep.
Goat Simulator.
That too. I don't think I'll pick that one up, but I did tell my daughter who loves Stray that's coming next year. Okay, those are the games I wanted to poke at.
Sam, did you get a chance to mention what you were interested in? Anything here?
The stuff I already talked about. There's one that stood out to me. It was in the sizzle reel, and they didn't say anything about it. I'm glad I looked it up because it seems very interesting. Called Chance of Sonar.
Yes.
So I looked up the Steam page for this. It is a very interesting idea, at least. I think it remains to be seen if it will be executed well. But this is it kind of shows like a varied perspective game, pretty distinctive art style, and it's, I guess, based on the story of the Tower of Babel. And you are tasked with trying to communicate with people who are all speaking different, like ancient, lost, forgotten languages. So from what they showed, they show you kind of have to piece together this kind of like very basic like symbol language because people talk in text bubbles. So it's mostly a symbols thing that I guess were made for the game. So that's a very interesting concept. It'll be interesting to see if they can make it work in a way that doesn't make it immediately super confusing. But I would love to play a demo of it or something.
Demos are always a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's our roundup of the indie world for this week. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it, you'll get a chance to go over to YouTube and take a watch, see what you're excited about. We would love to know what you're excited about from it. And you can hit us up at nintendodads@gmail.com or drop us a line on social media on any number of our accounts and just say, hey, I really am excited for this game. Or let us know what maybe you were sad that you didn't see. Couple other news items we want to hit really quickly. This week it was announced that SEGA, their parent company, Sega Sammy, has bought Rovio. Rovio, best known for Angry Birds and all of its many derivatives, as well as movies. This was a huge purchase for Sega. I actually didn't realize that they had this much cash laying around at the time. They bought Rovio for roughly $775 million.
All that movie revenue, I guess.
I guess so. But guys, you know what this means? The red bird is going to be the next Sonic companion in the next game. So,
this happened maybe 2 to 4 weeks ago, but Rovio actually, they had the original Angry Birds game up for at 99 cents with no ads, and then they had a free version with ads. They took down the $1 one because it was cutting into their ad revenue or the microtransaction revenue from the free version.
It's crazy.
Okay, that's shady.
It's really crazy. Rovio grasping at relevance here, even in the purchase. But speaking of Sega, today some new Sonic the Hedgehog Lego sets were announced. If you remember, there's already been one that kind of is the Green Hill Zone Sonic that has like the Eggman, flying machine, and Sonic and minifigures. Well, these are actually new sets that are more akin to the, I would say they're more akin to the Mario sets that are out right now, because these really specifically look like Lego sets that are meant to be played with, like extensively played with, because most of them come with a buildable launcher and a ball that you put Sonic in, and you can actually shoot him through the course, make him do the loop-de-loops and things. So Sonic's Speed Sphere Challenge, Tails' Workshop and Tornado Plane, Amy's Animal Rescue Island, and Sonic's Green Hill Zone Loop Challenge will all be released in the next few months. And you can go online and check that. It's actually pretty cool. But like Jesse said, Eggman is that's a weird look. It's they're trying to be really close to the game, I guess. But I thought the enemies were, I thought the rest of it was really well done.
That roundness is hard to do with bricks.
Yeah, it is. And to capture it, really, the model has to get bigger, and they have to be able to do more angles on it. And that's why Bowser was $250 and gigantic. He's the size of a Lego soccer ball. It's amazing. A couple other things here to mention. Guerrilla Collective will be hosting an event June 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific, where they'll be showing off some new games. I am like having a senior moment on who Guerrilla Collective is, and maybe some other people are too. So why don't you shed some light on this?
They're kind of like an indie showcase.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they typically go around E3 time, which is exactly what I expect.
They take an E3 slot,
like they do a really good, like, it's sort of like, hey, indies, you don't have space in Xbox or Nintendo showcase, or you weren't selected. We want to highlight your work.
Okay.
And so they do a really great job. A lot of the indies that you may see in there, and that may be like, oh, coming to Xbox, that's a quick flag of like, that might be a Switch game. Oh, that might be right. But yeah, they Guerrilla Collective, I would say, watch for them. They do a great job of highlighting indies.
Gotcha. And that again is June 7th. It is right in kind of that E3 pocket that they would have been expected to be in if E3 was happening this year.
That is a Wednesday.
Yes.
Summerfest.
Yep. I do believe Jeff Keighley's doing something in place of E3 this year.
Summer Game Fest.
And Jeff Grubb is doing something as well. He's doing Game Mess again.
Yeah. I think
so there will be announcements.
Calendar, I think.
Yeah, there will be updates and announcements in June. But again, I don't think we'll see Nintendo do anything in June this year. It's going to be like, go play Tears of the Kingdom. Bye.
Yeah, I would say just because E3 is not happening on the board, like as in like the convention event, does not mean that E3 is not happening in some context. Like digital so content will still be put out. It's not going to be necessarily under the banner. Jeff Keighley's Summer Indies will have tons of content. I wouldn't be shocked if one of the reasons that like the big dogs aren't going to aren't going to E3 is because they're going to Jeff's, and he offered at a lower, cheaper price. Right? 100% possible.
Yeah, I that would not surprise me at all. A couple of game release updates here. We want to mention Star Wars Republic Commando is the new Nintendo Switch Online game trial for North America. Right now, you can download this for free. It is a first-person shooter set during the prequel trilogy. It's squad-based, so you play as one commando, but you actually command your other members of your squad to go and do things like blow up positions or call in airstrikes or different things. That's really interesting. That trial started this afternoon, which is we're recording on April 20th. It runs through April 26th at 11:59 p.m. And the game will also be available to purchase for 50% off if you enjoy it, $7.99 instead of the normal $15 price, which is a steal. of a deal, and just for downloading it and playing it, you can get 100 platinum points. So why would you not do that, right? So there you go. Nintendo Switch firmware has also been updated to 16.0.2 as of today, which means it is even more stable than it was before. It added absolutely nothing, so don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Although, if you are collecting the Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury icons on the missions and rewards and Nintendo Switch Online tab, those updated today as well with brand new icons and backgrounds.
I think the last two updates I think I've heard were basically updates to the bad word lists. So you can't name your profile.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So minor, insignificant.
Yeah.
It's not like you gave us new themes or anything.
Right. Also, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions is now available for playtest, or you can sign up to playtest. This is a fast-paced online multiplayer game featuring the world's most iconic magical sport. It says engages players in the sport of Quidditch and other broomstick adventures. Apparently, Hogwarts Legacy did really, really well. And so, hey, let's make more Harry Potter games. You can head over to quidditchchampions.wbgames.com to sign up to be a part of the playtest. And that is supposed. It was announced like it was coming to Switch. Yeah. And we still haven't seen Hogwarts Legacy, so we'll see.
That is not going to go well.
Can I tell you that as a person who's working their way, I've got 20 hours in Hogwarts Legacy right now. There's no way this is going to even run remotely halfway decently on the Switch. There's no way.
Like, well, here's the thing.
Y'all lack faith. Y'all lack faith. Come on.
The only way it's gonna is, say it with me, cloud. And I know we've all looked at the fact that, like, no, it's not going to go to cloud. They've always put in the fine print, but I'm going to tell you, if it's going to go anywhere, I bet you that's exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah, Mikey Dreamer says it was announced for PC and consoles, but there was no specification about which consoles it is.
Sure. The only reason I said anything about it was my Nintendo News picked up the story and ran with it, so I figured something there. Sure. Also, April game updates for Sega Genesis have happened on the Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack, adding 4 brand new games, 3 of which you'll want to play and 1 of which you will not. A Flicky, Kid Chameleon, Pulse Man, which is previously a Japan-only exclusive, and Street Fighter II Special Championship Edition are all available now. If you're a member, you can initiate the free update and get those brand new games.
Apparently, Pulseman was available on the Sega channel, so you couldn't purchase it here in North America, but it could be played if you were part of that subscription service.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Same case as Alien Soldier, although Alien Soldier has been on a lot of collections and Pulseman is not. The other thing that will be of note about Pulseman for Nintendo
I know where you're headed with this,
is that it was made by Game Freak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Prior to Pokemon, right?
Yeah, just before, I think.
I think from what I remember reading that this was like their 3rd game that they ever made.
That sounds right.
So go check it out. It looks really weird. And hey, if you're a NSO member, it's free. It costs you nothing except your sanity to play it. Nintendo also announced this week that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC, that's the long-awaited story DLC update for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is launching next week, April 25th. They really are wanting you to do everything before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Along with that, Pyra and Mithra Amiibo 2-pack was announced to be released on July 21st. And Noah and Mio Amiibo were announced with no release date given for those as well. But that means more Amiibo for Xenoblade are coming. Picross S9 will also release next week, April 27th. And last but not least,
there's a demo available now.
Oh, okay. You probably have already beaten it without even playing it.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded the demo. I'll just wait for the game since it's only a week away.
There you go. Also in mobile gaming news, Monster Hunter will be getting a mobile game that will be developed by Niantic, which means it will be exactly like Pokemon Go. And it's called Monster Hunter Now. And that will be launching in September of this year. What?
Just run away from it now.
Yeah, I don't. Are anybody excited about that one?
If it's exactly like Pokemon Go, then no. But
I
I
just
dipped off
kind of feel like
Pokemon
it's going
Go
to be.
in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I still play Go. I'm not happy with the things they're doing with Go, and I'm probably close to actually stopping, but I'm still
Are you
playing it.
close to going?
I'm gone.
I think too, if you enjoy Pokemon Go, it's still probably not the kind of game you would want to play multiple games like.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Like-
just keep playing Go.
Like Pikmin Bloom, I didn't care for, and things like that.
Absolutely. Also of note mentioning here, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp launches tomorrow as of this recording. So as you're listening to it in your audio pod device, it's out. And early reviews are in 8 out of 10 from IGN and 9 out of 10 from Nintendo Life. Also 7 out of 10 from My Nintendo News. This looks to be a pretty substantial and solid release. You're getting 2 really cool strategy games with the ability to build your own maps and play online. And so,
So the online. So let me just. There's something I do want to say. The online. One of the biggest critiques I've heard of it from the reviews and everything is that the online is not randos. It has to be friends. So if you're playing online and you were hoping to just be randomly selected and play someone, you cannot. They all have to be on your friend list. So that is a big part that people are like, so close. But of course,
I just wonder if that's going to get patched in. Like,
why do they
may.
do this? That's
I
like
don't know.
they do one or the other, and it's always the opposite of what everybody wants.
It's like they survey people and they're like, hey guys, so you want to be able to play randoms online? Yeah, we're not.
Well,
We're
and
turning it off.
It's
Oh,
not
it's
like
got to be local only to play against randos.
it's not like they couldn't have, cheated off of Wargroup's homework, like that game's been out for a while. They did online, they did asynchronous, which I think would be a huge bonus here. But you get what you get, I guess. The campaigns are still fun.
With
Room's still fun.
With the
My
quality
fondest
online,
memory,
you get one disconnect and the whole game's shot, right?
my fondest memories of Advance Wars are actually that it was a Game Boy Advance game that you could play multiplayer with anybody, even if they didn't have the game, because you just passed your Game Boy Advance back and forth. So my brother and I would just pass it to the back seat of the car on road trips. That's always been a problem I've had with multiplayer and handheld games is you got to have 2 copies. You got to meet somebody else who has the game and their own system and a link cable. And that just never happened to me unless it was Pokemon.
Right.
But Advance Wars, because it's fully turn-based and you can just pass it back and forth, gets through that problem neatly. And it still does today if you got a Switch.
Yeah, you can definitely take care of it the same way. And I'm so excited for this game. I don't have anything to do tomorrow. It's Advance Wars time. I can't wait. Well, that's our news for this week. Thanks for hanging with us through that. It's time for an ad break from our good friends at Manscaped.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the NFL draft. And the NFL draft is here, and the most exciting prospect is the prospect of being perfectly groomed head to toe with our friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped has long had elite downfield play with their Lawnmower 4.0, but in 2023, they've made the rookie sensation Beard Hedger to ensure the face of your franchise is a pretty one. The 1-2 punch of men's grooming is the best acquisition for any home GM. So go to manscaped.com and save some salary cap money with our code NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Again, manscaped.com, NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Get there, get yourself some product. Get yourself the Lawnmower 4.0. Get yourself the Beard Hedger, all right? Amazing products. We live by them. We love them. Yay, sports ball. Yay, your balls. Manscaped.com. Back to you. Also, nice usage there, Tim, of the chapstick.
All right, so we're heading into our guest spotlight section of the show, or the Let's Discuss, and we want to throw it over to our esteemed guest, third strongest mole, Mr. Samuel Wagers, who has been to the real place. He's been to Nintendo, Super Nintendo World, and we want to hear all about it. So we've got some questions that if you don't answer them in what you're talking about, that we'll ask you. But man, we want to turn the show over to you. Let's hear about Super Nintendo World and your experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to do your questions. I mean, my mind's still all over the place. I don't even know where to start. They play the water level music in the men's room. That's something I think everybody needs to know going in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's even like a actually, they probably could have gone more all in with the theming, really, but there's like a painting of like some bloopers and cheeps and stuff above the sink. No, but I think the first thing that hit me, I could start with the night before. So the night before, because this is just a part of Universal, right? So this probably will not be your whole vacation. This won't even be. I did everything in one day. I did most of the park in one day. I saw pretty much everything I wanted to in the whole Universal Hollywood park. If you are waiting for Orlando to open, that park is much bigger. That's going to be multiple days. The Nintendo section itself is going to be bigger. Probably still not going to take a full day. There's only going to be 2 additional rides, I believe. But so the night before I did the City Walk, which is, if you've been to Disneyland or you do the downtown Disney, it's the equivalent that Universal has. It's outside the park gates, but it's connected to the park. It's where everybody exits. It's where all the parking is. It's shops, basically. And I start with that to mention 2 things. I didn't do a whole lot of shopping, but there is a Nintendo store there. There's several Nintendo stores. The best stuff is at the 1-Up factory inside the Nintendo Land. But if you do the City Walk the night before, you can pick up your Nintendo Power Band, this guy, which if you're, planning your vacation because you want to see Nintendo Land, you're probably going to want to get one of these. It is not cheap. It's $40, and that's... Ooh. Especially if you want one for every member of your family or your travel group. But I mean, that's theme parks, man. When I said getting numb to the sensation of being ripped off, I meant it. And this came this was my last day of vacation. I'd spent some other time other places before. But you can, and there are plenty, they make sure you have every opportunity to buy one of these. So I'd recommend getting one at City Walk the night before if you're not getting in so late that the stores are closed. It's one less thing to do, and the early minutes of getting in the park are quite precious, because that's your first ride is going to be one of your shortest waits for a while, right? So I'd get one there, but any Nintendo store in the park will sell them. They even have what are basically vending machines for them inside Nintendo Land itself. Or you can buy them there's a gift shop that's outside the Warp Pipe. So outside Nintendo Land itself, connected to the little snack bar. You can buy them there too. I mean, they're never gonna run out of these. I don't think they're ever even gonna run out of one specific character.
And Sam,
but I got Yoshi.
Yeah, Sam, can you, for folks who maybe don't fully understand it, what is the value of this? And also for the audio listeners, Sam essentially held up what looks like a watch with a letter on it. It's an NFC reader similar. Yeah,
it is actually literally an amiibo.
It's an amiibo.
Yeah. And if you're familiar with going to Disney and using the Magic Bands, then that's what this is. It's Nintendo Land's version of a Magic Band.
And for those of you that don't know what the Magic Band is, can you tell us what it is? So like as you've used
I'm not as familiar with the Magic Band, but okay. Yeah, so this is an amiibo puck on a slap bracelet, basically. Pretty expensive version of that. Themed after one of 6 characters: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Toad, and who did I forget?
Bowser.
Daisy. No Bowser. You're not allowed to be a
Really?
bad guy. Nope. Daisy, which is the next best thing, I guess. I don't know.
Daisy.
But yeah, so this is, if you are planning to do everything in Nintendo World, you're probably going to want one of these. So it does a couple things. Mario Kart, you can experience the ride just fine, but scanning it will basically save your score. You compare it to the app, which will keep track of how many coins you earn in the land, and there's all these little objectives you can do. So it's a companion to the app. But primarily, you will not be able to do the key mini games, which are how you earn the keys. And they are fun experiences on their own. I'll get back to them later. You need those keys to access Bowser Jr.'s Shadow Battle, which is the park's other sort of semi-secret attraction, right? So the band also keeps track of what keys you have. So there's a guy standing at the front of Bowser Jr.'s castle, and he makes sure that you scan the thing with your bracelet to show that you have the correct number of keys, which is 3. There's 4 you can earn. You only need 3 to get in order to let you in. So the gist of it is, if you do not have one of these, there is very little to do in Super Nintendo World other than ride Mario Kart and look around, which, there's a whole other park out there.
Can I ask a question here, just right at this point? The difference in like Disney parks and Universal parks, I'm not familiar with, but do you have to pay an extra fee to get into Super Nintendo World?
You do not at this case. So that's,
like in Disney.
I do not know the case for Orlando. I do not know the case because I know Orlando's bigger, and I know that because I've been to both Disney World and Disneyland. Disneyland is just 2 parks. There's 2 separate admissions.
Yeah.
There is a park hopper pass, which is cheaper than separate admission to both. Universal is all one park. It's one ticket to admission. You could, if you want to, if you're struggling to talk yourself into this, you could think of the Power Band as kind of the additional admission for Super Nintendo World.
So it's like sense. It really is a must have. Like they're not forcing you to buy it. But
it depends on what you want to do. If you want to see the stuff and you want to ride Mario Kart, you can do that without it.
So my point in asking that was this, is that you could kind of think about this in a way when you're planning your trip there, as the Power Band is like your ticket to that specific part of
it makes a pretty
Universal.
Good souvenir. And when I said it's an amiibo, it literally is. You actually can use this as an amiibo of the character it's for. Now, according to the insert, for whatever reason, it does not work with 3DS and Wii U. I'm not sure why that is. That's what I'm not going now. I'm stated in the information.
It's not working with my Wii U that nobody purchased. I'm not going.
That would require them to update something that doesn't exist in the shop anymore.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean that's the Power Band. I will say too, the thing I saw a lot of people who had them. I don't know. I mean, the people who didn't were probably just there for Mario Kart, and then they were gonna do something else, right? It is also true that if you plan on returning ever, this will still be something you can use. So there is that, and it's a fairly good souvenir on its own. If you're not going to be like me and buy a Goomba hat for even more, well, the same amount of money, actually, I think the Goomba hat was $40 too. Then, your souvenir can be your Power Band, right? What I did not see people doing, but I wonder how effective it would be, is if you're going as a family or as a group, get one Power Band and trade it between people. So, the rest of us are going to wait in line and ride Mario Kart again. Here, take my Power Band. Go get the keys. I don't even want to do the key games. I just want to do Bowser Jr.'s challenge. So, here you go. You could do that, I think. I don't think anybody's going to police that. I don't know if you tried to walk into Bowser Jr.'s challenge They would probably ask all of you to scan in for your keys. But I would assume if like you just buy one for your kid and the parents are like, hey, we just want to watch him do it, they'd probably let you accompany your child, and because there is enough space to stand behind the people doing it. Though I don't know if that would mess with, because the game actually uses your shadow to interact with Bowser Jr. So I don't know if that would mess it up. I'm not sure. I didn't see anybody doing that at any rate, but I wonder if it's possible.
Okay.
So, Sam, did you eat anything while you were there?
I did actually. So I talked about the power band. I'll just answer the question before I lose my train of thought. I did go to Toad's Cafe. I didn't think I was going to be able to, because they take reservations, and they had a sign out that said their reservations were booked the rest of the day by like the second time I got off Mario Kart, which was probably about 11 a.m. or so. Park opened at 9 on this particular day. So if you are there in a group and you really want to eat at Toadstool Cafe, make a reservation like immediately. I think you can do so through a link. So I didn't look into this. Look for a way to get that link before you even like enter the park, if there's a way to do that. I don't know if there's some authentication has to happen.
So are we looking for a guy in a green tunic? What is going on here? Looking for a link?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the sign had a QR code you could use to scan and get to the website and make your reservation. Now I went back to I went to the park initially. I was Super Nintendo World was of course the first place I went. It was the first place everybody went. It's the hot new thing, right? It was very crowded. I was there from open to I think about 2:30 in the afternoon. I came back at around 7 p.m. Crowd thinned out a lot, and I just walked up to the guy outside Toadstool Cafe, and I was like, "Hey, do I need a reservation?" He's like, "You're by yourself, so no, you're good. You can go in." So I got to eat at Toadstool Cafe by virtue of being a solo party does have its perks, and that goes for rides too. There is a single rider line for Mario Kart. I recommend getting in that line unless you really want to stay together with your group. It'll get you on the ride a lot faster. Although I will say this, I'll just kind of back up and walk through my day to kind of make sure I don't forget anything. The first thing I got in, I'm like, wow, this space is cramped. These crowds are huge. There was definitely some, whatever the crowd wait time equivalent of sticker shock is, I had that. And really a lot of it comes down to just the physical space of Nintendo World felt cramped because there were so many people in it. And if you've seen pictures, you know that the space is very enclosed, really. Like there are pretty high walls that are painted with like hills and stuff, even behind like the actual props of like Bowser's Castle and everything. So it's basically walled in, open ceiling, but kind of a walled in space, right? And so it just felt cramped because there were so many people in that center area, and most of the key mini games are kind of just along the edges, and then Bowser's Castle's at the back, and then there's like a little center area. So that was definitely something. I got there pretty early. I was towards the front of the line, so I actually didn't have to wait that long to get on Mario Kart. That's where I went first. The wait time the first time single rider was I think less than 30 minutes. So I get off and I look at the sign. It says 45-minute wait. And I'm like, that's honestly not too bad. I'll get in the single rider line. I think I can get in line again and get there pretty fast. Well, I was there like an hour and 15 minutes. That was a mistake. Getting back in line was a mistake. Those estimates you got to take with a grain of salt. And I think too, the single rider line was not being well managed at that time. This is, I'm not going to give too much grief to the Universal ride operators. but there was a family ahead of me that didn't realize they were in the single rider line that held that up. And then by the time I got on the ride the second time, the seat next to me was empty, which it shouldn't have been because there were plenty of people in the single rider line behind me. I don't know what happened there. It's just how it is, sometimes. Busy day, confusion, people everywhere. The ride itself, though, very fun. I don't know if it was my favorite in the park. But for those who don't know what it is primarily a AR shooting gallery game. It doesn't actually go very fast either. If you're expecting because it's Mario Kart, you'll go fast. You don't. You get a little simulation of that because you do enter a wind tunnel. So you feel wind blowing at you, and you get some visual cues that tell you you're going fast when you're actually not. But you are basically you put on this visor they give you while you're in line, and you attach with a magnet to the bottom of the visor a thing that's plugged into the ride itself that is an AR display, basically. So it's a combination dark ride, but then you'll also see basically Mario and Bowser and the Koopalings driving in front of you, and you want to hit them with shells. Well, you want to hit Team Bowser with shells, technically. The way it's scored, you don't want to hit Team Mario. You actually lose points for that. You actually have a limited number of shells, interestingly enough, compared to other games, which might score you based on accuracy. You actually just get a discrete number of shells at different points on the track. It'll just drop, here's your 20 shells. Don't use them all up before. And you're basically just trying to hit things as you go past. You're trying to hit Bowser and the Koopalings. There are hidden blocks you can hit, which give you more coins. You, of course, get a coin score at the end of the ride, which does add to your total on the app. So I mentioned the app before. You get stamps, kind of like Mario 3D World stamps, for doing different things that it keeps track of, and you get a coin total. And there's a leaderboard for who has the most coins. And that per coin total on the ride adds to it. Per day, per month. Nice. They actually score teams as well. So the character you choose for your band is your team. So like Team Yoshi, and I think they do it on the hour. They score the teams. Like Team Yoshi won this hour. Team Mario won the next hour. All that stuff. So yeah, the Mario Kart ride is very good. Is it worth waiting 2 hours for? I don't know. I don't like waiting in line though. So like I said before, I kind of had that. And I think the worst experience with the lines was when I got out of Mario Kart the second time and I decided I'm going to do my key games now. Everybody else had the same idea because that was peak time at the park. All the latecomers had come in. And I think I was in line for the Piranha Plant game longer than I was ever in line for Mario Kart.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So is that at least, does anybody want to know more about that? Or I can talk about the key games.
Well, did the Mario Kart ride have like physical limitations posted?
It does. I don't recall what they were exactly. I remember there being some dispute, some fuss over it apparently was not designed for large American people.
I remember talking about that.
I have heard since that it's the actual limits are a bit more forgiving. I'm like 5'10", so I didn't have any problems. But
what I talked about a few months ago, I think, was more of a waistline limit than a height limit.
Yeah.
Well, in both cases, it was
40 inches.
In both cases,
40-inch waistline.
Though, I think I have heard that the actual ride is a bit more forgiving than the posted limit.
Did you see anybody having to make the walk of shame?
I did not. There is actually at the front of the line a test cart that you can get in to see if you will fit in it. So that's good. If you're worried about that, then just sit down in that, see that you can
Universal
actually fit in there.
is they do that a lot of their rides. The reason I know this is because my wife is going on a sister's trip, like her youngest sister is turning 40 next year, and they want to go on a girls' trip, and they want to go to Universal. And so she is doing like lots of research, blogs, videos, stuff about, you know, what can I ride and what can I not. And so she's like, I've heard.
See,
I
that's
know
the smart
way
thing
too
to do.
much
I
about-
planned almost nothing. I just showed up. I knew I wanted to see the Nintendo, so I went there.
I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything when I say this, but like she's worried about the waistline requirement. And so that's
that's good to be aware of that.
She is like doing things to make that, because she wants, is so into like the going to do the Hagrid's ride at Harry Potter World and all of that. Like she wants to be able to do everything she wants to do. So,
and two, there's of course the height limit. If you've got little kids, you know, what are they going to be able to ride?
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the Mario Kart ride is probably more forgiving on that for kids as well.
I think so. I didn't see any like really young kids riding it.
Gotcha.
But again, I would be more aware of it if I had kids with me, but I was alone. So
Sure.
We had a question pop up in the chat that asked from Electric Mastro. So how represented are the Nintendo franchises at Nintendo World? Is it mainly Mario with minimal Zelda, Metroid, Kirby, Fire Emblem, etc.?
It's just Mario except for the Pikmin. So there are a couple Pikmin placed throughout the park as kind of an Easter egg. That I think I only saw 2 distinct groups of Pikmin. There is also if you go up on the viewfinder, there's a little, and it looks like one of the ones from 3D World actually, and behaves a lot like it too. There's like a little binocular thing station on one of the little corners of the park. There's a staircase you got to go up to get them. So this is a nice little hidden alcove if you want to get away from the crowds too, because I don't think there were ever tons of people here. And there's some blocks to hit, and one of the hidden pixel, I think it's Luigi. There's hidden pixel characters. You also need a power band for these, but there will be these little M's, these little Mario M's on the wall, and if you put your power band up to them, a pixel character will appear. I think there's 4 of them. You get stamps for finding them, of course, on the app. So I think Luigi's up there too. And there's binoculars, and they actually have like an AR effect too. So when you look through them, you'll see like these digital Mario characters flying around like Koopa Troopas and stuff. And there's a specific spot that if you point the binoculars at it, it'll zoom in and it'll show you like a whole Pikmin scene of Pikmin doing stuff. But other than that, I did not see anything other than Mario and the Pikmin. And the Pikmin are an Easter egg at the end of the day.
No, like Zelda music, Donkey Kong music, nope. Kirby.
It was all Mario music that I heard.
All Mario.
Super Mario World. So makes sense.
I will point out they consistently refer to it as Super Nintendo World.
Oh,
not Mario World. Okay. But that is clearly a very Mario-inspired font.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yep.
They've left the door open, and of course we know Donkey Kong will be there. If you consider Yoshi separate from Mario, Yoshi is there.
Did you see any or get to interact with any characters like the Mario that talks and its eyes
I didn't
move
really. I saw them often enough. I just really dislike posing for pictures, so I don't do a lot of that. But I got close enough to them as they walked by because, as I said, there's not a lot of space. Mario and Luigi will walk out every hour to the center area and take photos. And on every half of the hour, so every hourly, but on the half, Peach will walk out to her little gazebo towards the entrance. Because you enter at Peach's castle, the other side is Bowser's castle. And there's a little gazebo next to Peach's castle where Peach will stand and take pictures.
Cool.
So if you just want to snap a photo of them, they walk by pretty close because there's usually somebody trying to clear a path for them. And I didn't see super long waits to take pictures with the characters. It seemed like they were out often enough. I will note, again, Orlando might be a totally different beast. And I was here on April 17th, which is in between spring break and summer vacation. This was a medium attendance day for the park.
Sam, you've been. Would you go again?
I would not go again to Hollywood. I would definitely go again to Orlando. Well, I wouldn't go soon. I think the soonest I would want to return is 2 years, and then Orlando would be open, and I would rather go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sounds like, and of course we are, as a Nintendo show, our objective is to be up to speed on all the Japanese or the one opening up in Japan. It sort of sounds like the experience for all of them are kind of the exact same, right? Like does it feel like
Hollywood is the
special?
smallest. So the two things I was aware that the Hollywood park did not have the Yoshi ride, which is it's definitely not the premier ride. It's you ride these Yoshi cars around the top of the park, basically. And they're through some dark tunnels that I guess have some extra props and stuff for you to look at. That's not there. The thing I was most disappointed that I didn't realize, because a lot of my expectations were shaped by that early trailer with Miyamoto, is they do not in the gift shop sell the Mario toy that the actual Mario team developed. That's only in Japan right now. I don't know if it's coming to Orlando. The Toko Toko Mario that walks when you push the shell behind him, they don't have that. They got dancing piranha plants, which are not as cool. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
They do have Goomba hats, though.
Are the dancing piranha plants like the Billy the Big Mouth Bass?
I assume so. I haven't turned mine on. I bought one. I wanted to give it to my nephew, so I haven't.
We can't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's clipping out.
I was wondering if you push the push the thing, is like take me to the river. Drop.
I assume it's like Dancing Groot. That was real popular after Guardians came out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, thanks, man.
I'll give a quick rundown of the key games too, because I do think they're fun. I think the wait times were kind of spoiled me on them a little bit. And I do wonder too, strategically, if it might be appropriate to try to go for those first before the Mario Kart line fills too much. I felt okay waiting a long time for Mario Kart. I did not feel great waiting a long time for these. So there's 4 of them, as I said. You need 3 keys for Bowser Jr. I didn't talk about Bowser Jr.'s Shadow Challenge really yet, but how much time we got? So the key mini games are the Koopa Troopa POW block. That's actually the first one I did. That's the one I found the least impressive. Basically, you hit a POW block at the right time to chain it and kick a shell up to hit the Koopa. That's it.
I remember when Japan opened, that was demonstrated.
The Goomba Crazy Crank, where you turn a crank fast enough. There's a Goomba running on a hill, and you want to turn the crank to make it spin too fast so he falls over. Basically, it's just timing how fast can you spin this crank. The 2 I thought were most fun, and also the 2 that you can do in groups. So especially if you're in a group, I would recommend you go for these first. The Piranha Plant one, I think, had the longest line. People were saying it moves faster. I'm not so sure. It didn't feel like it was moving fast. It was the longest wait I had. It was definitely the longest line I was in. But that one, there are these 12 alarm clocks that start going off, and you have to hit them quickly enough before they wake up the Piranha Plant, basically. Yeah. So they'll flash, they'll make noise, and you hit them to turn them off. And you do that for long enough successfully, and you succeed. It is the one I saw the most people fail. That feels really bad if you're feeling that time squeeze, and you're like, we all want to go to Bowser Jr., and if you fail one of these, and they send you to the back of the line. The redeeming thing about the Koopa one is they would just let you try it again immediately, because it takes like no time to hit the block again. And I even saw the ride attendant or I guess it's not really a ride, but the guy who was there staffing it, he would literally hold your hand and do it for you if you were having trouble. So that one's like foolproof. They actually, I learned this after. I never tried. I did every game once. The last one, the Thwomp one, I did when I returned at night because I saw the lines were shorter. That one, you basically have to flip these blue panels back to yellow quickly by just touching them. And that one can be done in groups as well. I actually did it alone and I did fine. But the games can be repeated at higher difficulties. So if you've succeeded at the game once, if you do it again, it'll actually, by scanning your band, it knows, and it will actually reset to a higher difficulty. So that Koopa shell that moves back and forth will start to move faster. The crank, I guess you'll have to spin faster. And like the alarm clocks on the piranha plant will, activate faster. All that basically makes it a little bit more challenging. So there is some like replay value, I guess, to those. And all of these do feature essentially animatronics that interact based on your success in the game. So those are cool. And looking at them's free. You don't even need a power band for that.
Kind of awesome. Nice. Cool. Very cool.
Well,
all right. I feel like I was there.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us a rundown.
There is the Bowser Jr. challenge too, which I will say was very that it's pretty fun. And it is very Mario in a lot of ways. So if you go in there, and the nice thing about this, because you need the keys, there's usually not a long wait for it. Even at because I wasn't there for the whole stretch of peak time, so I don't know what happened after 2:30. I wasn't looking at those wait times. But the longest posted wait time I saw for Bowser Jr. was 20 minutes. When I went in, it was posted at 5 because a lot of people still didn't have their keys yet. They couldn't go. That's a consequence of that. So, but it's interesting. It's probably some of the coolest stuff to look at as you walk through the line for it. There's all these paintings hung up and some Bowser Jr. graffiti next to them. Like there's a Mario with X's on his eyes and stuff. And all these like paintings that give you like a history of Bowser Jr. Like they show him like leading the Koopalings into battle and sitting on a Bowser throne with a pacifier. Like it's great. And there's actually one of the more interesting blocks to interact with is in there. It's the Bowser Jr. block. And in this kind of waiting room for the actual game, if you hit the Bowser Jr. block with your band, it'll Bowser Jr. will make a noise and it'll do like a random effect in the room. Like it'll change the color of the lights, or sometimes it'll actually shoot a jet of air out at you. So it's kind of fun. I imagine it could get annoying if you were stuck there for a long time and other people keep hitting it when you just want to get out of there. But it wasn't, I thought it was fun. And the blocks are cool. At the end of the day, it's like hit a block, get a coin. That's most of what you're doing. I expected to see more of them in the lines, but I will say I didn't even see the full line for Mario Kart. That's the one that I think needs it the most. It's just something to interact with while you're in line. They do it for some of the dedicated line spaces in the mini games. I saw some of those. There'd be blocks you could hit while you were waiting. But I do feel like there's maybe more they could do, something a little bit more complex than just hit the block, get a coin. Because at the end of the day, that's what most of them do. As I said, I did eat at Toadstool Cafe later. I got the Bowser Fireball Challenge, which is just a big spicy meatball, and the question block tiramisu. Food was okay.
Did you get
it's
pictures?
Not great. At least it's themed. I do have pictures. If you check out the RetroLogic Discord, I made a thread for all my pictures.
Oh, nice.
It's in the lobby. It's a thread in the lobby of the RetroLogic Discord. I can repost them elsewhere. I just don't like reposting the same thing in different places, so I usually just stop at one.
That works.
people ask for it, I can repost them in Nintendo Dads too.
That's fair.
Yeah, you asked about music later. I do think Toadstool Cafe has the best selection of music. It has like all the Galaxy tracks, I feel like. But yeah, it's classic Mario music. It's good stuff. What else am I forgetting about? I talked about the key games, talked about the power band. Gift shop, of course, you've seen my Goomba hat.
Yes.
That's the thing that impressed me the most. I saw people wearing Toad hats. I didn't see those for sale. I don't know if that was just there a different day or what. They had Goomba hats, and they had Mario and Luigi hats that are similar. They're kind of that like big foam plush version of a hat.
Right.
I think we saw something similar when we went to the New York store in November.
Yeah. What was the most expensive thing in the gift shop
The most expensive thing
that you remember seeing?
There wasn't anything extremely fancy, so probably like sweatshirts, to be honest. Because I think like the nicer sweatshirts were like $80 or something.
Ooh.
That's
You just
expensive.
gotta really love Super Nintendo World.
I mean, it doesn't compare to the stuff for sale in the Harry Potter section.
I'm
stuff
sure.
Gets way pricier.
I'm sure.
There is I mentioned the snack bar outside too. They don't have anything too special. They have the fancy character sodas, which I didn't buy, the souvenir mug, and the souvenir popcorn tin. Basically, it's popcorn and soda is all they're selling. That's connected to another gift shop. I saw a lot of overlap between the different shops. There's the shop outside the warp pipe. There's the shop, part of the big Universal store. It has a Mario section, at least currently, that's just inside the park. And there's the one on the City Walk. They all had mostly the same stuff. It felt like the One-Up Factory in the land itself is where you would want to be if you wanted like the exclusive stuff.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, we've got a couple of questions here, not about Super Nintendo World for you, actually about Retro Logic, and we wanted to run through those pretty quick. We wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes. You recently celebrated 100 episodes of Retro Logic. What did you guys do for your 100th episode? How did you celebrate?
So our 100th episode, we made a top 10 list of Super Nintendo games, and we had all the hosts from all of the shows, because Retro Logic is basically spinning off its own shows now. So we are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts, as we say. And if you didn't know, the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts now has grandchildren in the form of Film Logic and Retro Groove. So we had all seven hosts on for that one.
Wow, that's a lot of hosts. Yeah. So where do you go from here with Retro Logic? I mean, you're like you said, you're spinning off different shows. You're having grandkids.
Well, yeah. I mean,
what do you do
that's
now?
That's an open question, I guess. We're charting a course forward. So part of the announcement of the last episode, our founder, in a lot of senses, I'm the latecomer. I'm the third one to come along. Dan and John started this. Yes, Dan and John started this, and Dan will actually be taking a break from the podcast for the time being to take care of some other things. He does intend to return. And he will still be active in our community. So it's just going to be John and me. So we're trying to figure out how that's going to work. But we intend to just keep going. I mean, even if we didn't have a podcast, I would show up just to talk to him every week, because it's just such a great time hanging out. It's a great time hanging out with everybody in our community. As well. The Discord is just really a special place. I've been moving on through streaming and the blog. So we have a website, which is a focal point for all that, all the podcasts, as well as the blog, which I've been putting more written content out to. And this really connects into the Discord too. So I have this thing now called Games from Across the Multiverse. It's officially a series. There's 2 of them now, so I can call it a series. Where I present, as if written by my alternate self from another universe, reminiscing about a game that doesn't actually exist, a game from another reality where video game history is very different. So the first of these, to give an example, was The Legend of Zelda: The Harmonica of Time, which is a game for the Atari Jaguar. Because in this world, the video game crash never happened. Atari is the top dog, and Nintendo, while they exist, have been kind of obscure, kind of only known among the really hardcore gamers. And so to get mass appeal, they made a game for the Jaguar, and to make it appeal to the American market in particular, where they'd struggled to take off, they decided to make it a Western and make Link a cowboy. And so I just kind of wrote this thing as if I was kind of looking back on the game and its history and why people didn't like it didn't like it, or why people did like it and why it was important. All the things you would do for a retrospective, but just for a game that doesn't actually exist.
So you're creating video game fanfic or fan fiction.
Video game alternate history. Yes. And I also accompany this with screenshots using AI generated art.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
I love it.
So it kind of sounds like, I don't know how well known this is, but Nintendo, before releasing NES in North America, actually went to Atari to try to see if they wanted to be the distributor of their hardware. They declined, and then Nintendo said, "Okay, we'll do it ourselves."
Yeah. It's a lot of that kind of thing.
But Atari took it.
The deal. And like the second one is actually a game that thinks about if the PlayStation went through as a Nintendo 64 disc reader add-on, and then I kind of needed a game for that, so I invented this game that is just this dog pile of creative ideas that don't exactly mesh well and tries to use every N64 peripheral, including some that don't exist. So I threw in the iToy there for good measure as a N64 peripheral that showed up a little bit earlier in the timeline.
So can I pitch an idea here, maybe for the future? Can we get a Bubsy redemption story?
Maybe you'll just have to wait and see.
Just like to see.
But and all that to say, the initial germ for this, it took me a while to actually sit down and write it. Came back to an interaction we had on the RetroLogic Discord one day, where we all just kind of played along with each other, and we were all like acting like this was a thing that happened, even though it wasn't. We all knew it wasn't, and we were all just talking about a Donkey Kong MMO. We're like, yeah, remember that Donkey Kong MMORPG that, flopped back in the day, but it was so fun. And there was just all these comments going back and forth like, oh, new funky class, 2 OP, please nerf.
Yeah. That reminds me of was it Star Fox Submergence?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was talked about in our community as well.
That was probably the real forerunner of it,
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I have a lot of fun doing it. The people who have interacted with it seem to love it. It's probably a very small crowd, but you know what? I'm having a blast doing it. So
you know what? Here's the thing in content creation: as long as you're having a fun time doing it, right? Then that's really all that really matters, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure,
that is correct.
Yeah,
we certainly have fun with doing those type of stories in the table.
Yeah. So, Sam, let me ask you this. You've obviously mentioned the blog and the RetroLogic website, your work on the podcast. If people wanted to find you, if they wanted to read these stories or they wanted to hear more or they wanted to listen, where can they find you and the RetroLogic crew?
So the easiest way is the website, retrologic.games. Yeah, that is .games, not .com or .net, .games. It's a real domain name. Actually, my own personal domain name now redirects to the blog. That's thirdstrongestmole.com. I still own that domain because I am the third strongest mole. Discord is a great place. You can usually connect with people on the Nintendo Dads Discord. There's a lot of overlap there still. The RetroLogic Discord is there. I am on Twitter, not particularly active, but I'm there. I usually post stuff when it's new. That's at Mole3rd on Twitter.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, here's what we're going to do, guys. We realize this episode has run just a little long in the tooth, but that's okay. We loved getting the details about Super Nintendo World and your visit. And so, Sam, thanks so much for providing those. This week, we are going to skip our What We've Been Playing section. We'll loop back to that on next week's show. But for the meantime, let's do a quick rundown of some events and some questions from you guys.
All right. So quickly, let's go over these events we got going on. I'll get the table stuff out of the way. Every second Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. Eastern and every third Friday of the month at 10 p.m. Eastern, the community gets together at the table, otherwise known as a Discord voice chat room, to discuss whatever it is on everyone's mind. So if you want to join in, email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or DM us on social media to learn more. Basically, just subscribe to us at Patreon or Twitch, and you should be able to get in. So, all right. Now we also have some things coming up that Nintendo announced, which is the 33rd Maximus Cup starts Friday, April 21st at 3 a.m. Eastern, ends Tuesday, April 25th at 2:59 a.m. Eastern. Collect 100 event points. A new theme will unlock featuring art, music, and Tetramino designs inspired by Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. That is the 33rd Maximus Cup. We also have Splatoon Cross the Legend of Zelda collaboration Splatfest, which starts Friday, May 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and ends Sunday, May 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The Splatsville
such a great collaboration idea.
We were wondering about that, weren't we? The Splatsville and Inkopolis Plaza Hub areas get decorated in a fancy way, and players can choose to champion one of three causes: power, wisdom, or courage. After you make your choice, you'll participate in Splatfest battles during the event. The goal is to ink as much of the stage as you can without getting splatted too often. At the end of the event, the winning side will be revealed and in-game goodies will be handed out, with the winning side getting more, of course. So that is the Splatfest Legend of Zelda collaborations Splatfest.
What are you going with?
The other thing
Team Wisdom.
The other thing that's super cool with that is the collab to make Splatoon t-shirts.
Yes.
That are now that you can order, and those are man, those look so good.
I wanted one of each. They're so cool.
They are awesome.
And there's front and back. They're just like the other Splatoon shirts.
Yeah, I'm wearing mine. I'm wearing my Star one right now, actually.
Nice.
I love it when they do those collabs. I love the look of them. I'm really tempted to get two of them, but I'm like, oh.
How much are
right?
Well, Canadian,
$30.
They're 30, almost 40 Canadian, and then shipping.
FYI, they do have the keychains too that's coming soon for my Nintendo rewards. So keep an eye on that when those drop. The same design you get on those t-shirts are going to be on those keychains.
Yeah.
So if you can
points, pre-order those shirts now, I think.
Yes. Oh yeah, they're available. Probably buying
which
one
is
right
smart.
now.
Which is smart because then they will know how many to produce without.
I'm going.
being sold out
I'm going Team Power.
Right on.
Nice.
Team Power. Let's all the way. Let's go. I'm gonna wear my t-shirt and suck at Splatoon 3. So that's why I don't do anymore. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the community spotlight. All right, so we got quite a few questions here, and Sam would love to hear some of your responses to these as well. So here we go with the first one from Warren G. Akers via email. While playing Breath of the Wild, somewhere along the edge of the map, I recall a valley where in the distance I could see inaccessible land on the other side. With enough stamina, I was able to sail to that inaccessible area. But upon reaching it, I passed through the cliff wall and fell into a void, as this was beyond the border of the map. My question is, do you think Tears of the Kingdom will expand the map from Breath of the Wild? Will it include areas that were previously inaccessible, like beyond the desert or beyond the sea?
It's been a while since I played Breath of the Wild, but the trailers, I don't always recognize the landscape.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that the area of ground level will be larger than the original game. They're adding area to the game through Z-axis, the Sky Islands and potentially underground dungeons. That is still to be determined. But yeah, I think there's going to be multiple layers going on vertically more than your standard X and Y.
Seeing as how Breath of the Wild's map was like, I think they showed it was like 2 times or 3 times larger than Skyrim's map. I can't see them going any more horizontally wide with it. I mean, they put that stuff in the distance so you wouldn't go to the edge and be like, man, Nintendo was so cheap. They cheaped out on everything, Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure we'll see plenty of people finding those borders.
Well, the greatest achievement of Breath of the Wild is that the map's that big and it never feels empty. Like there's always stuff to do close to other stuff.
Things to discover. People are still discovering things.
Well, and there's more people like living on the land in Tears of the Kingdom. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. Didn't know if you guys caught this today, speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, but the event that has sent the things into the sky is officially in game being called the Upheaval.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Displayed? I didn't see that either.
So it was a tweet from Nintendo of Europe mentioned it. It says, after the upheaval. And it's in caps, like the words are capitalized at the beginning. So I think that's the official name.
Something, yeah.
So there you go.
Interesting. All right.
Can't spell upheaval without the evil.
All right. Questions from the Discord. First one comes up from Koopa Kid 80. I just picked up Grapple Dog on an eShop sale for $7 and have been loving it. My question for the dads is, what is an indie or first party game that was very highly rated but fell into your backlog you visited months or years later and finally saw what all the people were praising when the game originally came out? Did you ever do this and totally disagree with the general consensus of a game and think it wasn't good?
That's assuming that I actually go back to my backlog.
The only game I could think of when I read this question was Dragon Quest XI. I wanted to play it when it launched, but other things were going on, so I didn't get a chance to play it until like 3 months later. But this was a game I knew I was going to like, and I did love it, and it would have been my game of the year had I played it when at launch instead of just before New Year. Normally if I don't get a game near and start playing the game near when it's released, I likely won't ever go back to it because other things come out. So, but that was the only game I could think of.
Marty, what was that sale game?
Sale?
Yeah, Far Tide or something.
There was one Changing Tides, and the other was that Changing Tides was the second one.
Yeah, so the first one, the Far Sale or whatever. That one I think was. Yeah, I couldn't remember the exact name of it, but that one was one I remember when we saw that Changing Tides was coming out.
Lone Sales,
thanks. When we saw Changing Tides was coming out, like I think we both went back and played and got Lone Sales, and I really enjoyed that. So
yeah, I actually caught it on sale and was very glad I did. It's one of my favorite games on Switch, both of them. So
Yeah.
so good. And it's one of those games that tells a story without like having text or voice acting. And I love games like that.
This actually happens to me like all the time with retro games, because I do kind of go out of my way to play games I haven't played before. That's kind of a different approach to retro gaming, I guess, than some people take, but it's why I have so much fun. But I guess for Nintendo first party specifically, Pikmin and Luigi's Mansion were both entire series I kind of came into late. I missed out a lot of things on the GameCube. That's when the first time Nintendo had to compete. We got a PS2, so Nintendo had to compete with another company for my time and game dollars. So I didn't always pick up all the Nintendo stuff around that era right away.
That's a good one. Cool. Anybody else?
I identify more with the second part of the question, like a game that people were praising when the game originally came out, and it was not for me, was the Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon or whatever it was, the puzzle game version of it.
Yeah.
It's just does not do anything for me at all, which is really sad because I like Shovel Knight. It just, I played it a few times. I was like, this is really hard. Now, Dig, on the other hand, is excellent, and I could play that a lot. But this one is, the Pocket Dungeon was just not great.
I guess my game for what game I didn't like that everyone else likes would probably be Metroid Prime. And I talked about that.
Ooh, get out of here. No. That's fair. Justin, did you have one?
Not one that pops off at the top of my head. I mean, I think I've always talked about before how like I didn't really get into Zelda games because I didn't like the top-down looky kind of games.
Okay.
Right. And so it took me a long time to play like Link Between Worlds. But all of a sudden when I did, I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Right. So I should have definitely been playing those. So yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Great question, Koopa Kid. All right. Mikey Burgett asks, as of yesterday's reporting, Wednesday, the Super Mario Brothers movie is at 371.19 million domestically and 729.55 million worldwide. The question is two parts. First, do you think it will pass Jurassic World for the highest grossing domestic film of all time for Universal at 652 million, not adjusted for inflation? Do you think it'll beat that?
I don't know. I mean,
I didn't think it would get this high, so maybe it's possible.
This number is after 2 weeks, so the number will obviously continue to increase, but it will start to increase more slowly. So I don't know if it's actually going to hit 650 domestic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think the domestic number will end up being higher or lower than the international number?
Lower,
because you got China and Japan, and
yeah,
I don't know if it's. I think
it hasn't even dropped in Japan yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. I presume the movie will be out into China as well. They're a little bit more picky about their movies, but that they let their people see. But if this is available to that audience, that's 1 billion people there. So,
mm-hmm. Well, and if there are fewer movies to see, that's all the more reason you see the one with Mario.
Yeah, we're coming into summer blockbuster season. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming out. We've got Transformers. We've got lots of other movies that are going to draw people in. They're action oriented. And so Mario's going to keep making money, but I don't think that it's going to be like that very first weekend again, unless they do something sneaky like in May or late May or early June. They're like, hey, the Mario movie now has extra deleted scenes that have been added back in.
Right.
Go see it again. Because they do that. That's not unheard of for movie companies to do. Disney's at it. Go see the
Or-
Frozen
yeah.
sing-along version. Maybe they have the Peaches sing-along version.
So apparently,
All-
the
all-
movie did release in China the same day it did in the U.S.
All I know is that Nintendo and Universal's relationship seems very different from when Universal was suing them over King Kong, Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to have really found their way, haven't they?
Money
Yes.
has a funny way of doing that, right?
Mhm.
Very, very interesting. All right. And so thanks, Mikey Burgett. That was great questions. Quagmire asks, Advance Wars comes out tomorrow. Xenoblade 3 story DLC comes out Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Pikmin 4 is bumped up to an early release date. With the Tears of the Kingdom next month and all of these titles crammed together, it appears Nintendo is trying to make room for something. What do you think is the reason? A big game, a new Switch?
Yeah, I don't think they're making. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I just think that they are. So is the argument there? Are they making room for something after Tears of the Kingdom? Is that the argument?
Yes, the latter half of the year, they said, we have no idea what's coming.
I don't think so, really. Like, I mean, so like let's take out of context like everything. So what dropped this week that was like, oh my gosh? Yes, the Xenoblade Chronicles for sure, but like that's not a like we knew there was more expansion content coming, right? You want to have regular cadence. Advance War is coming. I think it's kind of like just get out of the way of Breath of the Wild. Right. I think it's drop everything you can and then start that communication afterwards. I don't like after Breath Wild. I don't know
What's coming in September. If we get a direct like we did last year in September.
Metroid Prime 4.
I mean, something's going to release at the end of the year. Something's going to release. It's just a question of
that's why all of this. All of this working together is why I feel like there's more to the story of Nintendo Live in September than people want to admit.
I still don't think we're going to see the successor this year. I think announced, yes. Released, no. But I think a lot of it is development resources have shifted to the new system, so there's launch games ready. That's why there isn't a lot of new things coming out. But based on that logic, you'd think they'd want to slow roll what they got left instead of compress it. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
They've got a huge system that's selling incredibly well. They have the biggest game of the year that will likely be, game of the year contender for everything. They are selling their shirt they're doing everything they can to monetize Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like look at the cross collaborating. We talked about Splatoon, by the way, t-shirts, but like they are doing controllers, like they're blowing out the doors for this thing. Remember, this is the same company that was like, hey, we put out Animal Crossing, we good, right? And did nothing and then let it die on the vine. So I don't know.
Lesson learned?
No, they would not have learned a lesson there, Sam. I don't think so, right? Like, I think that
was also peak pandemic, so that's a little bit different there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but you had stuff in the hopper being positioned out. I don't know. I think Metroid Prime 4 is happening this year. I know I have a pizza bet on that one. I think I wouldn't be shocked if Donkey Kong arrives somewhere along there as well. We've heard that one for a while. And then I think early next year, you get the first look at the Switch successor, which, by the way, is going to be cross-compatible and is going to accept Nintendo Switch cartridges. That's I think what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know.
It's Arms 2, guys. Arms 2.
Arms
blow
2.
us all away.
Legs.
Yes. Leg day.
Or maybe the long-awaited sequel to Odama.
It's not arms, it's legs.
Yes. For leg day. All right. Great question, Quagmire. Great questions. Makes us think there. Well, we've been talking about this too before, is like what's going to be the holiday thing, if anything. So we'll see. All right. Question from the Patreon, David Balicka. Nintendo is making bank on the movies, Lego sets, theme parks, etc. What are some avenues that you believe are yet to be explored for the big N to make some money on, or have they dipped their toes into all the areas of revenue? I still feel they can expand further into quality toys and books and comics, but that's just me. Also, I still think there's still a need to tweak their phone games. I would buy a Nintendo refrigerator if they released one. Joking.
Xbox says hi.
Or just kidding.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, I think for them it really is stepping more into transmedia, right? I really like give me a gritty Metroid or Zelda Netflix series. I think that's where they need to expand.
Yeah, I was thinking TV shows too, like on an HBO Max.
Yeah, exactly. You've got like that's the hotness right now, and it's being funded really well. You have to have talent around that to do it. I think park expansion. I think similar to Sam's spot, like hey, let's test out whether Super Mario World is going to work. It's going to work. Why are we asking?
Even just Mario stuff, there's so much they could add if they have the space. Like put a ghost house in there.
Yeah.
Put a boo house area.
To your point, Sam, like this should be like Nintendo has the IP recognition and the IP market to have their own Disney World, like proper.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
This is Donkey Kong Land. This is Hyrule. This is Pikmin Grass. This is the like you.
I mean, it takes a lot because Nintendo is still a much smaller company than say Disney, but at the end of the day, Pokemon as a brand is worth more than Mickey Mouse and Spider-Man put together.
Yeah, right. Like it's kind of stuff like this. Like it feels like it's small scale thinking for like large significant IP, right? Like you know they're dabbling more in a little like lifestyle branding, I guess would sort of be a way to do some of the stuff. Like I think that they could do so much, right? The fact that only now we're starting to get like an online shop where you can actually order stuff and be sent to you is crazy. I think they should have more stores, right? We know the New York store or the Nintendo store in New York. Why is there not like one in Toronto? Why isn't there one in like London? Like these big epicenters where people can gather and connect. I also think what would esports for Nintendo properly look like? Do you know what I mean? Like could there be a tournament for like proper funding, proper support, all of those things? I think that I don't know. I think there's so many opportunities for them.
So here's the three that came to mind as soon as we read this question. Number one, Justin hit it out of the park with this: more retail stores. Having to go all the way to New York just to go to a Nintendo retail store. Why is there not at least one of these in every state in their biggest city, reaching more people, selling more Nintendo? Nintendo gets to control the pipeline of its own product. It gets to reap the reward of its own product, offer like state exclusive stuff in its stores. Like you go to Nashville, Tennessee, and it's Pikachu with a guitar and a cowboy hat, that type of thing. Number two, board games / card games that aren't for kids. Like give me Magic the Gathering, but it's Smash Brothers. Give me Luigi's Mansion as a cooperative ghost house exploration board game. Give me that kind of stuff with high quality components. And number three, why in the world is there no other Nintendo cartoon except Pokemon on airwaves?
Yeah.
Why is there not a Mario cartoon or a Zelda cartoon or any of that? Like, even if it's just Netflix, where is that?
Yeah. The other thing that I think of as well when you're talking about this, Marty, is here's one of the things that I think that Nintendo could learn really well from the competitors. Xbox used to do, I think they still do, Fan Fest, right? Where it's all about like bringing fans to one location, celebrating the product, making them feel special, making it feel like a value, right? Now, maybe this is the thing that's happening in September. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't quite feel that way. But like they need to have that kind of like social connection, that type of like event. And I don't think E3s or PAX or that. I think you need to have like its own like dedicated, this is a Nintendo Fan Fest. We're doing 5 days or 3 days of like all Nintendo stuff. a celebration
That is
exclusive.
that
first
is what
looks.
the Nintendo Live is supposed to be for.
Is
To
it?
frame the
Yes.
counter argument, though,
Okay.
I do kind of appreciate Nintendo's more conservative approach to multimedia and growing their brand. On RetroLogic, we were even talking about Earthworm Jim recently, and that was a huge, like, instant multimedia push.
Mhm.
And that series fizzled out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, especially Earthworm Jim 3D was just not a very good game. Even even you scrutinize the first couple games, they weren't fantastic. Like, they don't hold up super well. People liked them at the time. Some people still like them now. But, like, there are a lot of ways that you can go wrong with this sort of thing. There's plenty of companies that made the mistake of trying to grow too fast. And Nintendo is very cautious, especially about putting themselves in a situation where, even though they have these brands that are worth a lot, they don't have the size as a company, number of employees to actually manage all these things, that it could easily go wrong very fast for them.
Yeah, that's a good
Two
point.
things,
The scalability of it.
potentially in the future, further down the road, once they've got a few
Well, I think they're doing
shows
that
developed
now.
and a
I
couple
think
of
they're
movies
doing that now, and they're doing it slowly.
As I was saying, there is with their work potentially down the line, they could have a couple of things that where after they've got a few shows under their belt, a couple movies under their belt, maybe some other media, they could potentially do a Nintendo network as well. Because you got the Disney Channel, you got the Nickelodeon channel.
Do you guys remember? You guys remember back in the 3DS days how they had like videos that you could only watch on the 3DS? There were like the Pikmin shorts and Dinosaur Office and stuff like that. I would love to see more stuff like that come to Nintendo. And if you remember, didn't they just buy an animation company? Didn't they just like a video production company?
I got the name for your service, Tim.
Yes.
Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack plus.
The Disney Plusifying of it.
And then the other thing about Nintendo Live is it says it's an all-age celebration of Nintendo fun, share excitement of playing games together, enjoying live stage performances more across a large-scale themed area. Whether you and your family are new to the games, characters, and worlds of Nintendo or are lifelong fans, everyone's welcome to have fun. They'll have games, have a blast together with popular Nintendo Switch games, play familiar favorites of your own pace, jump into friendly competitions together, or try something new. And then the live stage, bring your energy and enjoy live stage performances, thrilling competitions, and more. There's photo ops and tournaments and more information coming soon. So a lot of the same stuff that I see coming out of the others that you mentioned.
Yeah, I hear what you read for me, Tim. I get you. I 100% hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if that feels or sounds like what I would expect from like a fan fest event yet. And now it's our first go at it, so I don't know. And
in the United States,
in the US, in the US for sure, right? So it'd be interesting.
Well, this is again more family oriented too, where the fan fest for Microsoft and PlayStation is geared towards that age range, obviously.
Yeah.
So it maybe feels different that way as well.
Yeah. I my one question I just have in general is like I would love right now to understand like what is happening at Illumination Studios and Nintendo. Right? Like what
they're probably just partying every day in their Scrooge McDuck pools of money.
Like what pitch meetings are they having right now? Right? Like
I think they probably already had those things. And I mean, there's probably still those discussions, but I think there's probably something already in line because
so we've got this
when you're developing the movie that you have to, scrap some things because as you're developing, you're like, okay, we can't cram that in the 90 minutes. So, but let's save it for the sequel, so there's those potential things.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to see them be like, okay, cool. So we definitely have the sequel in the pipeline. So what else you want to talk about? Right? Like, do you want to do like a Luigi's Mansion spinoff after Mario 2? Is it plausible? Like if we fast forward this clock by 5 years, we are now in the Nintendo universe, right? Similar to the MCU where there's a movie coming out every 7 months or whatever it is. And it's another
Like
that.
I think that the first spinoff has to be from Mario, right? To keep the ties there, but they can use that to expand the universe some. They can
See,
use that to widen
I
it.
don't want them connected, really. Like, it's fine if they spin off Mario characters and keep. Even then, I think they've sort of done Donkey Kong a disservice with the way he is now. I think it's very difficult to give him a solo movie. Like, the only way I could see it making sense is maybe make it a prequel to the Mario movie, like, because Donkey Kong, they did establish like Donkey Kong is like famous in his own kingdom, and Diddy is like his super fan, so he's probably done something to get that recognition. But like, I don't know, like,
Besides just being
I don't want
Prince.
Zelda. I want a Zelda movie that's completely separated from the Mario movie if they're gonna do it. I just want it to just be Zelda.
Hear me out here. What I would really love to see is them do a Zelda movie in kind of a Wind Waker style, like animation, and just let it be its standalone thing. But like, I don't know, like that, just like almost like a Miyazaki type film, that's stands on its own. It's beautifully animated. We get the origin of Zelda or Hyrule or whatever in that, and get introduced to the main players, and then they make a million billion of them. I'm
Yes.
cool with that.
You mentioned the pitch meeting. So when the Mario movie came out, I said I want to see the pitch meeting on the pitch on the pitch meeting YouTube channel about the Mario movie. That came out today, so go have a look at.
Really?
Look for it. Yep.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Awesome.
I put a link to it in the TV media Discord.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Well, guys, that is episode 423. Sam, we want to thank you for hanging out with us
Thank you.
for the whole thing. And you can go and check out RetroLogic over at retrologic.games or over on Spotify, where you can find a feed with RetroLogic and all their spinoff shows over there. And so go check them out. Lots and lots of good things happening over there. And as we close out the show, we want to say also a huge thanks to our Patreon producers. That's Dave Ernsberger, RJ Kern, and Jacqueline Amira, and Solo Something, as well as our other 90 plus patrons who help keep this machine running. Thank you guys so much. Also, a special shout out to our 17 Twitch subscribers and over 1,400 Twitch followers, and nearing in at 6,732 YouTube subscribers, closing in on 7,000 sometime this year, hopefully as well. Thank you, everybody. Promise, we love you. We care deeply about you. We couldn't do this without you. And so if you're just even a casual listener, thanks so much for checking us out on a regular basis. Be sure to go check out our website. It's nintendodads.org. You can get Spotify podcast feeds for all of our shows like RetroLogic, as well as Game Pass News, Dads After Dark, and lots more. You can see our YouTube videos and tweets, see all of our social media, and all of our Nintendo Dads merch over there. And don't forget to check us out at manscaped.com, where you can use the code NINDADS, that's NINDADS, to get 20% off your Manscaped order with free shipping. And also the code works at Konzuri.com, CONZURI, where you can get confidence boosting shoes that look awesome. And you get an extra 15% off from Konzuri with that code, which means you get 45% off your order by using the code NINDADS. That's NINDADS at Konzuri.com. You can contact us in most places just by typing in Nintendo Dads, but you can also send us an email at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show. And reminder, wherever you download and listen to Nintendo Dads in your audio device, your podcast service of choice, please go give us a 5-star review and leave some written comments. It pushes us up the ladder, helps people find the show. And hey, what's better than that? Sharing is caring. Tell your friends, tell everybody about us. Anyway, it's been episode 323 of Nintendo Dads. For me, for Justin, for Jesse, for Tim, and third strongest mole. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Check you later.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Do you know who I am?
Nintendo Dads Podcast.